my vision, my goal, my heart, my desire that came to me is a visual talk show, a platform for conservative women, independent women. And when I say conservative independent, I'm talking about your voting block, but also your stance, your view, your values. It's conservative. Now I know there's a visual as what conservatives look like, but that is for another. We would dive into that. But for right now, um, a platform for views that are conservative and for the independent voters out there that has they're not loyal to any party. You're loyal to a party that shares your values. So in speaking with this sister, I've been sharing this with some other members of the conservative party, and also those that their voting block or their voting preference has been conservative, sharing this idea with them, and I've been getting many feedbacks. But while in conversation with this sister, she brought up a very pressing situation that I was not aware of. I was not aware of it. And when I became aware of it in our conversation, I was shocked. Shocked is an understatement. And I wanted to know why no one else is talking about this or has talked about this. So I said, as everything with Lady O, why not you? That's the reason why I ran independent. I looked around, there was no one. At that time, Aaron O'Toole was the leader, and he was no way, in my opinion, looking conservative, sharing conservative values and principles, and him in line with Justin, to me, was a big red flag. Fast forward, we've had a coup. They've gotten rid of Aaron, and there's a new leader. And the reason of them getting rid of Aaron is because we came to understand that there were many other conservative MPs who were also not happy with the leadership and how it was looking, sounding, and where it was going. And then there was statements and allegations of intimidation when they did decide that they wanted to do a leadership switch, and then there was intimidation, and it was all over the news. So I'm not saying anything that nobody should not have been aware of in regards to what led up to the leadership switch. Okay, so I was an independent at that time because there was no one. There was another conservative, Derek Sloan, that said he was going to launch a party. That never came to fruition, and I don't like anybody backing me in a corner. So I didn't see any conservative option, and I wanted to exercise my right to vote because many before me bloodshed and sacrifice to give me the ability to vote. So I am not going to let anybody pulling their slow wheels of change that prevents me from voting, because the sacrifice has been made and I wanted to vote. So I said, why not you? I got donations all the way from Saskatchewan that said, I saw your video, I know your heart, Lady O, and I prayed about it, and sent me a great donation. I was able to get my signs and everything else. Found local volunteers, 2 women in the Scarborough Southwest area, one in Guildwood, one in Southwest, that said, sure, we would help you. And they went out and we got the signatures that was needed. And then, as I said, the rest is history. So this attitude of why not you, it's not new. That's the same thing why I ran provincially as well, to assist a new conservative party that said that they were conservative and they needed some assistance in open up writings. They approached me and asked me if I can be of assistance. I said, sure. Fast forward, I found out enough that I needed to know from the leadership that they are not, in my opinion, conservative in the values of being fiscally responsible and being integral. And you know me, when I see something that is not in alignment, I leave. That's just me. Why not you is the same reason why I also ran municipally for trustee, to try to get a voice in the Toronto District School Board to counteract all of this division that has been permeated from 2020 in regards to segregation, divide, hate, race baiting, and all of that. So, why not you is not a new thing for me. That's just who I've been since I was a little girl. If there's a problem and you look around and there's no solution and no one champion it, why not you? You be the change that you want to see. And then it starts in every facet of what I do. Why not you? Reason why I went back to school, did what I'm doing right now, pursuing my master's, did my undergrad as an adult student. There's a lot of things I continue to do and I will continue to be a champion of, with the statement of why not you? I'm putting up fair use because I'm using information from somebody else's page. There's a scandal, a face scandal that came to my attention. And it's on the page of Angela Lindow, and I crossed paths with Angela, never knew of her. And again, my story, hers is very similar. Many things we've been doing behind the scenes and assisting many others and being a champion and an advocate for many different things and going with our hearts and our passion. And people would not know of us because we are the connectors behind the scene, and we're the ones that give our energy towards other people's initiatives. However, Angela has done her own championing of initiatives that she has spearheaded, and she's well known in many different places of influence. And I had no idea about this face scandal, about the internal corruption within the Liberal Party, in the skin color of the quote unquote Black community. Many of you who, if you've listened to my podcast before, you know I do not identify myself as a crayon color because that's been ingrained in me since I was a little girl from my father. You can go back and listen to the episode, I am not an adjective. And you'll get my heart there. And it's within the Black empowerment, under the championship of Black empowerment, and its leaders within the Black community. Those walking around in the skin of the quote unquote Black experience, and they're behind this initiative, and there is a huge scandal. Angela has shared with me of her many efforts of getting this attention that it is desperately needing, and the community is not aware of what. From what I understand, Angela she's gone to the legal avenues of, I believe, if I am mistaken, I don't think I am, but she has a lawsuit. This thing is big. It is huge within the community, and the community is not aware of it. I am not a person of little words, but I was very shocked. So I was going through her page when she told me about it, and I saw this statement, and I added my own to it as well. And I don't even know whatever words to put in. So let me just click on this for a minute in regards to what she mentioned. And these are the faces in our skin. And she did an amazing write-up. If you're not on LinkedIn, go on LinkedIn. And let me see if I could just squish this down so you can get the full screen of this, because I kind of blew it up so I can get as much as possible in here. But I'm shocked, ladies and gentlemen. I'm absolutely shocked. So let's see if I was able to shrink it down. So the title of this is Holding Our Own Accountable the aggravating role of Black leadership and the face scandal. I need to shrink this a little bit more. Yes, because I need to make sure I have everything properly here. There we go. So let's start. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. So this is the face. The faces, some of, and the Liberal Party. Another scandal again, and I this need to be blown up. The NDP, Jagmeet Singh, and all others, they've jumped to the block, saying they're not going to, give the Conservatives what they want. I'm sorry. This NDP, especially you are the face provincially and federally about the Black community, corruption. You talk about the Conservatives. Does the NDP know about this? Does the NDP, the Black Caucus within provincially, have you let your brothers and sisters federally know about this scandal? So it says here, while the Trudeau government failures in the face, which is called the Federation of African Canadian Economics, just the name alone, it's a scandal and it's profound. The role of Black leaders involved, and she called them out, Tiffany Callender, Thierry Lindor, if I pronounce the first name incorrectly, it's there on the screen, and Nadine Spencer, requires equally rigorous scrutiny. Nadine Spencer sounds very familiar. That name sounds very familiar. So I asked my sister, I said, is it the Nadine Spencer that was on the Toronto Police Services, Nadine Spencer? I also heard through the, they say, little birds whispering and chirping, Nadine Spencer is family members of Mitzi Hunter. That's what I've heard. Not by Angela, but I've heard it in the community around. And I already have my issue with Mitzi Hunter, and that's not new, of how she has been allowed herself to be used to bring in values within the quote unquote Black community that is not fundamentally who we are. What do you say, Lady O? The LGBTQ curriculum and all of that we're all kicking and screaming about. That's not us. Hence why on the continent in Africa, every place that thing is trying to pop up, leaders are saying no. Because that is not who we are. That could be another podcast. That's not who we are. That was injected into a community from slavery, the buck breaking and the whole homosexual energy. That's historical. We can have another podcast and we can bring experts in here and we can let you know where that came from. That's not our value system. That was injected. It was inserted figuratively and literally into our community, into our men, that homosexuality energy and the practices came in. All right. And Mitzi allowed herself to be used to bring that into the Ontario curriculum. And Doug Ford, just like Erin O'Toole, this is why I am independent. I have my conservative values that has been rooted in who we are. So it's not a Anglo-Saxon thing. And I know people get upset about it, but this is just me. This is Lady O speaking. I have always been conservative. It's always been part of the fabric of my community. Family values. We do not align ourselves with certain practices and lifestyle choices. That's just who we have been. And as I said, go to the continent and you see how much they're saying no to all these World Economic Forums and all of these handouts of financial assistance with the contingency of bringing in LGBTQ. And they say, keep your money, keep your aid, keep your funding. If that is part of what it is, we don't want it. Because it's just who we're just not a part of that. Okay, fine. Mitzi allowed herself to bring it in with Kathleen Wynne. Doug Ford came in used that as part of his leadership platform and promised all conservative parents that he was going to revoke it. That is what he ran on, and that is why he won. In addition to the legacy and the Ford movement from his brother, Rob Ford, loved dearly, he used both of those and he got in. And then he said, ladies and gentlemen, I changed my mind. I'm not going to revoke it. It is what it is. You can be upset all you want to. That's how it is. This is why I am conservative in my values, but my voting is independent because I'm still waiting for a conservative party provincially for me to believe that they are conservative. So we put a pin on that. Mitzi allowed herself to be used. Before Mitzi, Margaret Best was the Liberal representative for Scarborough-Guildwood. That's where I live in for years. And Margaret resigned and stepped away as a result of this contentious statement. And it's been said many times that this is why Margaret left. She left because she did not agree with this LGBTQ coming in, and she was not going to be a part of it. So she walked away. And Kathleen Wynne had to find somebody else in our skin color to bring it in because they needed someone in our skin color to bring it in. And Mitzi says, here I am, pick me. That's how I've always seen her, and that's how I've always, my disdain, because they allow themselves, when I say they, those in our skin color allow themselves to be used to bring in and do the things that are contrary and hurt our community, but they use themselves as a token so that Kathleen Wynne couldn't be called names and they could hide behind the Mitzi Hunters of this world. Mitzi was also used, Michael Thompson, all of them were used for 2020 with the mandates that were against what our gut instinct was telling us based on our historical context of being used for experimental reasons. Justin Trudeau needed, and the Liberal Party provincially needed, someone to penetrate the community because we were hesitant and they could not call us racist for being hesitant. They could not call us misogynist. They couldn't call us all the names that they want to call for a group that says no. So they needed someone to come in, and they brought all these task force specifically to our community to get us to not listen to our guts. And then make it look like being hesitant was anti-science and anti-educated. So here we go again, where we have members of the quote-unquote Black community that are a part of a huge scandal of misappropriation of $221 million of funding. $221 million of funding. I'm just going to leave that there. Ladies and gentlemen, there is something messed up happening in the Liberal Party. There is something messed up happening with people that are being used in the skin color of Blackness, and they are okay in being used. Because they are really not for us. And they require you to give them a pass because they have melanin in their skin. And they rely on you to not want to attack a quote-unquote brother or sister because they have melanin in their skin and you don't want to be seen as attacking your own. but your own is out there attacking you when they keep telling you that you need funding, you need grants, you're below, you're beneath, oh, you need a leg up. They keep attacking your value, telling you what you cannot do. And here we are to bring you programs, and then they do not use the money for the said programs. This is huge, what Angela Lindow has revealed to me. And I would like to have this brought to the attention of the Conservative Party. I cannot give the justice that this needs with my little podcast here. But I'm just doing enough where I can make this recording, send it to Angela, and Angela has my permission to edit it however she wants to, take out whatever she thinks might, upset certain people's feelings, but I have to be organic as best as I can. We have sellouts within our community that are using their skin color, they're using their position in the Liberal Party and in the community to get a windfall of money that's supposed to be for the youth in our community, the entrepreneurs in our community, and they're not getting the money. They're not getting it. I'm going to keep scrolling down. I need you to take a good look at Angela Lindow's LinkedIn page. This is ridiculous. And she has other information on her page that goes even deeper. This needs to be made aware in the Conservative Party. The Conservatives need to know about this scandal as well and dig deep into it. And from what Angela's telling me, the one that is the member of Women This and bringing in tampons into men's bathroom and all of this, and the minority, and these people that are in our skin color, they are selling us out, and they're expecting us to be quiet because of the stigma that has been injected in our community, that we don't talk about inside business. It's the same thing that's in our many families that's plagued with so many violations inside the family, but we're quiet and people are suffering in silence because you don't want to talk about inside business. So we don't get help. We don't seek help because we don't want to bring the family business outside. Mind you, there's members in your family that needs to be excommunicated. They need to be shunned. They need to be exposed. And it's the same mindset in the quote unquote Black community, the village. The village is burning. It takes a village to raise a child. Children aren't being raised properly because the village is burning to the ground and nobody wants to identify it, so there's nobody getting any bucket of water. Because if you bring water, that means you're acknowledging that there's a fire, but we don't want to acknowledge that there's a fire. So we just keep quiet. We allow these people to come in, masquerade in our skin color like they're here to help, but they are hurting. They are hurting the community. Misappropriation of funds. What Angela is telling me, this thing is deep. 222 million. Quiet because it's a sister and it's a brother. Is it possible that's part of why they're doing it? Is it possible the Liberal Party intentionally keeps a cap? They intentionally make you think that there's only so much room for so many of you. So when you get someone there, you don't want to mess it up because we're represented. We finally got someone. And they look for the cantankerous, corrupted ones to put there. And you don't want to mess it up because we finally get representation. And they're selling you out. We finally got the first Black speaker. We finally, is it possible they're intentionally keeping the cap of lack? So when you finally get someone, you don't do nothing to rock the boat because you finally got representation. I prefer to not be represented if the representation that you're going to scoop up is a corrupted one who's there just for show. But they're doing more damage than anything. I prefer not to get representation. Thank you very much. Because that representation actually hurts. It does more damage. Because here they go again, being a walk-in representation, confirming that you can't get nobody of integrity from our community. That is what they're representing. They're reinforcing the stigma that we are people that are corrupted, just like our African leadership. Those that they have their puppets. The grassroots are saying get rid of these people, but they keep putting puppets there. So they're just reinforcing the lie that the best that you can get from our crop are the cantankerous, corruptible ones. There's nobody of integrity. You can't put nobody else there. It has to be the corrupted ones. Of course it has to be the corrupted ones. So you can control the corruption. And it can keep the majority in oppression. Because they're eating everything up. I think that's what we're seeing here in the Liberal Party. And it's exactly what we see on a global stage. The puppets that they intentionally put in front of you and tell you these are your leaders. George Floyd, intentionally putting this is your martyr. I'm sorry. We have others like that young man, Ahmaud Marbury, that was killed, murdered. Nobody didn't hear about him around the same time as George Floyd. But he's not the one that they highlighted. They select who is your leaders and they select who they want you to celebrate. And if you notice their character, it's the ones that play low. It's the ones that move low. It's the ones that emanate low. But the ones that reverberate high integrity, they assassinate. And then they decide who they want you to see as your champions. So, quote unquote, Black community, is it the fact that the conservatives may not know about this because you're not making it an issue? And is it that you're not making it an issue because you don't want to see that you are going against a brother and a sister because of what we've been told, that we keep quiet with those within that are causing damage? Are those the reasons? Are those the reasons why we continue to keep those within that are doing damage to us as a body, as a community, because we're just so happy to be represented? We don't care the quality and the caliber. And when things come out, we keep quiet because of what? Is there an element of shame? Have they now done a real good number on us that we are ashamed to highlight the fact that these people do not represent our values when they steal and they lie from us, mixed with the silence of finally getting someone there because we've been told that there's only few that can get in. There's only few of us. Or is it the truth that there's a plethora of us, but they find the ones that are corrupted, and then they put those in positions of authority? no different than what they're doing in the continent. So the Mitzi Hunters of Provincial, the Nadine Spencers, the philanthropies, and all of these people that are being dropped in and intentionally placed as faces and voices of the community. The community is not being represented well. And you're never going to get out of your stupor because they are not there to set you free. They are there to enlarge their territory. And they tell you that you're always going to be in oppression because they're there to keep you oppressed. I know much more that I could add to this, but I want to make this below 45 minutes. We need some conservative eyes on this matter. We need some conservative eyes on this matter because there is an impact of the misleadership on the anti-racism efforts, because it's either we do have an anti-racism effort or we don't. So then this again, there's so many negatives that this thing is doing. You're keeping it alive or you're lying that it exists. Which one is it? You're either lying that it exists, and that is why you don't put the funding where it's supposed to. So you put people there to just lie and create data and get money. So do we have an anti-racism issue? And if we all say yes, we do, then you do a disservice by mishandling the anti-racism efforts, because then you want to keep it there. So if it is there, you don't want it to go. So that's why you do not put the monies and the resources and put integral people in charge of these things to make sure that these things are effective and they roll out properly. It's the same thing we see with all these organizations that are like, you guys have people of leadership, and I put it on her post. Caribana. I remember the scandal with Tropicana and Taibu. Or is it just Tropicana? Or was it also Taibu? I lose count of, like, seriously. And then we have, there's so much others. Oh my gosh. The people at the top are not doing what they say they're there to do for the anti-racism effort. So it's not going anywhere. And it's not improving. And then we keep wanting to point the finger at the external forces. What about the internal issues? The people in leadership. Listen, there is a big impact when you guys put leadership at the head of these things that misrepresent who we are, and they misrepresent the cause. This is huge. And I hope that this somehow helps in any way, shape, or form. And Angela can get this to the right, can add this to her efforts, because she's, from what I understand, she's been doing as much as she can. But someone needs to wake up here. And the Conservative Party needs to be aware of this, and someone needs to do something. In addition to my ask, and in addition to my passion and my dream of having a platform that is really backed in getting the women conservative voices out there, and the independent voting women voices out there. We need our own platform, because issues like these that we all need to be aware of, and we need to start attacking the energies. Forget the skin color. I am tired, and I've said this for how many people have heard me been talking. It is an energy that takes refuge in skin colors to get by. I'm going to say it again. There is an energy that takes solace and takes refuge in skin colors to get by and pass. And it is up to each one of us in our own skin colors to call them out, because they do more harm to the skin color and do more harm to the narratives attached to these skin colors. And we each in our own skin color call them out. The energies need to be exposed, and we need to say enough. This is disgusting. It is illegal. Where is the law? Where is the energy that always want to talk about corruption and expose? And if the Conservative Party is afraid of exposing this because they're afraid of once again this labeling them as racist, it's sad that the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, Melissa Lastman, cannot do anything because they're afraid of calling racism. Well, then this is why this needs to get to Leslyn Lewis and Jamal, for them to see this as well and know what's happening and get into this. Contact Angela so we can end a stop to this, because this is exploitation of the Black community by their own, intentionally being used in the Liberal Party. 221 million? Come on. Enough is enough. This needs to get the traction Angela's lawsuit needs to be aware of. The efforts that Angela is making and the people that she's reaching out to, they need to be supported. This needs to blow up. This needs to be this needs to blow up, because this is disgusting. If these people are allowed to get away with this, it sends a very damaging message. Very, very damaging message. And double is the fact that the resources that's supposed to have been coming to the community never got here. The Black entrepreneurship never got it. All these quote unquote Black initiatives do not get what they're supposed to get, and they keep thinking it's the external that is at fault. No, it is your own. We need to laser focus and narrow in on our own. This has to stop. This is Lady O. Stay in action with faith and possibility. Walk in and protect your light. Your purpose will find you. Say what you mean and live like you mean what you say.